Hello, friends. It's me, J to the T. And all right, we got, I don't know if you'd call it big news, but it's time to stand up and recognize that the big changes are finally here. This is, for lack of better words, I think when people really start understanding or have knowledge of Bitcoin across the board, not just us enthusiasts or fans. And what I'm referring to is CNBC had a segment on fast money, and it's recognition, it's acknowledgement. And even more than that, for those of us in two cryptocurrencies, it's acknowledgement that Bitcoin is legit. And there's a couple segments in here, and the very last comment, they even say, and there's even bigger opportunities outside of Bitcoin, which I think is just incredible. And I do want to add, I think they got it wrong. This isn't digital gold. This is its own investment class, something with some of the properties of gold and with some of the properties of stocks. And with that said, go buy some if you haven't yet. Please. This is the one chance you get in a lifetime to be part of the game, if you will, and potentially have income for the rest of your life or set up your kids or whatever, because even a year from now, you're going to look back and 13,700 is going to be cheap. We'll all be sitting here saying, God, I should have bought some more. And I wish I could buy more. But let's take a look at some snippets from this video, and you can see for yourselves.
Welcome back. We've got a Bitcoin alert. The cryptocurrency surging to its highest level in nearly 3 years. It is now up in 9 of the past 11 days. Let's bring in Michael Sonnenschein. He's the managing director of Grayscale Investments, largest asset manager in the digital currency space. Michael.
And yeah, that's Michael Sonnen from Grayscale, and we all know how much money they've put into this asset. So this guy's in the know from Finance 1.0.
Great to speak with you.
Same here. Thanks for having me.
BTC is also up 25% this month alone, and I'm wondering, what do you think is a primary driver of this rise? Especially because we're just about a week away from the election. Does that have something to do with this?
I think what we're seeing is that Bitcoin has really solidified its role as digital gold in investor portfolios.
See, that's the point where I disagree. If it brings people into Bitcoin, hey, we'll take it. We'll start there.
Investors are telling us that Bitcoin warrants a place in their portfolios because they're living in a world characterized by digital exchanges and not physical ones. And it's not just investors telling this. We're seeing the same kind of reports of research coming out from major banks like JP Morgan. And what's interesting is that Bitcoin continues to get challenged. And each time it does, it comes out stronger. And honestly, 2020 has been no exception to that rule. This year, we saw this past spring, one day where Bitcoin drew down almost 50% in a single day. And now Bitcoin's returned almost 90% year to date, which is, broadly outperforming the equity markets and a lot of other asset classes. So investors really just can't ignore it anymore.
And let's just go ahead and say all asset classes it's outperforming.
How excited were you when Paul Tudor Jones was on Squawk Box and he talked up Bitcoin? Were you high-fiving your partners over at Grayscale?
There have been a lot of good tailwinds. We've seen PayPal meaningfully enter the space, public companies like Square and MicroStrategy adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. And yes, we're certainly seeing it at Grayscale. We've brought in over $2.5 billion in new investor money this year, which is more than double our cumulative inflows from 2013 all the way through last year. So we're seeing growth on all fronts.
So it's Steve Grosso. So when you just described the volatility that's within Bitcoin, that's what makes me want to stay away from it. So when do you start to
And let's talk about that for a minute. You know, that's kind of one of the classic things they go back to. Oh, Bitcoin's volatile. No, it's really not volatile. We have swings in it, but they are pretty regular if you do your research on them. And that volatility is just provides great buying points, and it really kind of gives insight into Bitcoin's strengths.
Feel as if you'll have a more substantive, sturdy market with a retail audience and an institutional base that will feel comfortable holding it. I've seen the headlines from PayPal, from Square, from Fidelity with the new fund. When do you start to think that volatility, where if I bought it today, I don't have to worry about losing 50% tomorrow, will start to solidify a little bit to the upside?
I think we're actually seeing already quite a bit of that. You know, what's been interesting over the last year or so is really the development of a two-sided market. Borrowing and lending, derivatives, I think that's really helped to decrease a lot of the volatility that we're seeing in Bitcoin. But I'd also say most of the investors that are coming to Grayscale these days are really looking at their allocations over a medium to longer term time horizon. And so when we do have moments of volatility like that 50% drawdown day, we had investors looking to opportunistically add to their positions, not running scared because Bitcoin had a drawback like it's had before.
And there's that strength in people learning, educating themselves.
Thank you.
Michael Sonnenschein of Grayscale. Pete and Jared, how are you feeling about Bitcoin as a placeholder in your portfolio today versus, say, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think people have gotten a lot more comfortable with it, Mel, than they were a couple of years ago. I think every year that goes by, people find a little bit more comfort. Obviously, the Jamie Dimons of the world and so many others that weren't involved initially have scored.
And isn't that a huge statement? People keep finding more comfort with it, which is kind of what I pointed out to start this video, and so important.
Sort of started to get involved a little bit, and so I think going forward, yeah, this is going to be something much bigger. I'm getting a little bit more into it myself. My brother John's been into it for multiple years, but I think this is something that we're all adapting to slowly, but we are adapting to it, and some of us probably have gotten there too slowly, and I'm in that camp, because this is a category that's absolutely been on fire. I know it's volatile, but it certainly is a category that's gone just absolutely parabolic versus the markets.
Tim, quick thought here.
I think the next part of this trade is to go into the broader, digital currency markets. And again, we've seen this before, and
And there, it's a key point. Broader digital currency market. This is a new market, folks. And I think you're going to see it on the financial shows treated that way in the coming months and years. So it's for real.
rally in Bitcoin is pulling broader currencies. I think you just have to be very careful, but the legitimacy is there. I don't think there's a question about that. I think it's really people need to do their work on outside of Bitcoin where there's opportunities, because I think there are many.
Coming up, shares of UPS.
And there you go. So remember, folks, if I can say one thing, and I'm not a financial advisor by any means, I'm just a poor person trying to get ahead of the next thing so I can be a rich person. And then I'll be saying, all right, more often. But it's what they're not talking about. That's the biggest thing I can say. So if they're not talking about Ethereum or Chainlink, or DOT, or Monero, or Celsius, one of my favorites, love you, Alex. There's even bigger money to be made, and I guarantee if they're not talking about it, they're buying it. So once again, thanks. Just really excited about this. That's CNBC covering over 10 minutes on crypto. And once again, J to the T, please like, subscribe, and share. help me grow this channel and help me help all of us help ourselves to the money that cryptocurrency provides potentially for us. Thanks. Have a great day.